good morning, everybody. Welcome
You
to We
know,
Got Something to Say with Kenneth, Watkins, and Kenneth Lively. I'm a little hyped up on caffeine a little bit, so I might get on Kenneth's nerves a little bit today. Um, but that ain't nothing new because I get on his nerves all the goddamn time, and I don't give a fuck. I like getting on Kenneth's nerves. Makes the show more
sounds about
lively.
right.
See, me and Kenneth can
Pun
agree on
intended.
some shit. Me and Kenneth can agree on some stuff. See how he said that sounds about right? Hey, we can. I, um, I'm gonna start the show off with a little something different. Um, and it's my daughter's going through some life changes right now, and I actually got a little jealous because I'm watching her friends rally around her, unlike almost anything I've ever seen, and it's like, hey, we got you. And when they say they got you, they like really mean they got her. Like if they think she's low on funds, boom, don't worry about it. If they think she needs somebody to come get her, boom, don't worry about it. And it's this core group of friends who look after each other in a way that I just don't see men do in my lifetime. How about that? In my group, anyway. How about that? Because I want to speak for Kenneth's group. And I'm wondering if this because we had this conversation, I use this word all the time, is a certain intimacy amongst women that men refuse to give one another. Like men seem to think that, good morning, Miss Stacy. Men seem to think that there's no strength in vulnerability. Why you already laughing? Why you already laughing? Huh? Why you already laughing? That your facial
You see.
expression,
Go ahead.
huh?
Go ahead. Continue.
Okay.
Get
Um,
go. Continue.
wait. You like this angle? um, and so I'm wondering if what I perceive, let me be clear, I perceive it. And sometimes your perception is not true. I don't want to be that arrogant. What I perceive is this stigma that men have in telling other men either need help or men not being perceptive enough with their friends to say that person is struggling. Let me go in, throw my this group, throw a lifeline. He's calling you Miss Stacy like you're an old lady. See, Stacy, see how he do stuff like that. I don't think you're an old lady at all. I'm from Augusta. He from Augusta. We normally use Miss in front of everything. Um, so uh, I'm wondering if it's an issue. Again, he keep knocking me off my game today. Hey man, cut it out. Um, that men don't have these conversations with each other. Like like if you're saying, hey, I'm going through some personal issues, and you really tell a friend about it, that you're going through some personal issues, and not only does the person have to be willing to be vulnerable, but the other side has to be willing to receive it and then to act upon it. It's one thing I always say is, man, thoughts and prayers only go so damn far. Thoughts and prayers only go so far. And what you about to say, Kenneth? You froze again. Go ahead. What you about to say? Go ahead. Go ahead. Well, I want you to comment. What you shake your head for? This ain't a meme show.
Oh no, I was just waiting for you to finish what you were saying.
I'm trying
Then
to
I was
be
gonna
polite.
follow.
I'm trying to be polite.
I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
You say I started with these long soliloquies, so I'm trying to cut the soliloquy in half
Oh
so you
well,
can
damn, that's the first time
interrupt.
for everything.
You damn right. Shit, I can change. I look. I know how to change.
Okay, well, listen. Well, I'll say this. I do agree with you about um, men not being allowed to be vulnerable around other men. I agree with that back in the day. But um, in my boys and my family and all of that, we allow that. It's I said this. I figured out a few years ago. that just telling another man um, that you love him, one of your friends, your cousins, your brother, all that. It's like, hey man, I love you, dude. End of the conversation with I love you. When you see him, give him a hug, all of those type of things. Because you never know when that man needs that. He not say anything. You you with your boys, fucking shit. A few of the guys we went to high school with, I think it was last year. Yeah, last year. And we were having a discussion. We sitting there, we having dinner, and we drinking and all this and talking shit. And then we started talking about health issues. And and everybody's talking about what medication they on, what it's for, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then I stopped. I said, damn, 20 years ago, we'd have been sitting at this table talking about women. Now, today, when we're in our 50s, on the downside to 60, we're sitting there talking about medication and what medication we're on and health issues and all that. And, I even told him, I said, that's not a bad thing. It shows that we've evolved. I said, but it's good to sit here and have conversations talking about the health issues that we're all going through because, hey, when I'm going through, you may be going through, and I may have a solution that you don't have, or you have a solution that I don't have. So I guess I'm blessed to have friends that I can open up to and say stuff. And, of course, we go as a man, especially as Black men, we going to, make a joke out of it and all that stuff. But I know my boys, I know my family, they got my back. And I think we all need at least one person in our life, especially as Black men. We need at least one person in our life that we can talk to like that. Somebody that's, although they may judge you on the stupid stuff you do, but they always got your best interest at heart. And your daughter is fortunate to have somebody like that at a young age. And like you said, women have a tendency to be more supportive in that at a younger age. Because men, as you know, we aren't taught that way. We're taught to be silent, suck it up, suffer in silence, all that bullshit. And it's to our detriment. I really and truly believe it's to our detriment. So our generation, hopefully our generation is breaking that cycle and trying to open up about stuff. Because I said, you need at least one person to listen to you. One person to listen to you. But sir, the floor is yours.
Look, they're not gonna get used to us being polite to each other. We can't be overdosing them all of a sudden. I haven't called you a name. Look, we 10 minutes in, and we've been so sweet to each other. So look.
This shit is scary.
Look, the two reasons why I'm bringing this up is I had a post from a Morehouse classmate of mine who just made a post about a friend of his who passed, who he hadn't really talked to. He thought he was going to get to see him. And he was talking about how significant this person had been in his life. And it's funny because the backstory about the guy that I'm familiar with, I'm not close with him. As a matter of fact, he's in Augusta right now. He's a president of Payne College. I didn't know his background too much, but he was saying how much this guy's family helped him when he was little, going through this super, super tough time. And that he hadn't spoken with the guy in a while. They spoke on Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And I think it leads to, this narrative about being rugged and doing everything on your own has to a certain degree been our detriment as a community, particularly for Black men. and we don't seem to trust one another on a whole, and this lack of cohesiveness is damaging us. Uh, I think that I've been thinking about this a lot this week, and it depends on where you are in life, financially, emotionally, all that stuff. We're at this real serious period for our community that you and I sometimes have a disagreement about how, and our friend Bruce Brooks have a disagreement about how it's supposed to look. Whereas we're at a point in history for African Americans where we really, really need to show cohesiveness in what we're doing with this onslaught. And one of the things that made me think that was this new onslaught against Barack Obama in the last week. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, where are we in defending Barack Obama from this onslaught? And I know a lot of people say, well, Barack Obama doesn't need defending. And I said, that's bullshit. Barack Obama, Michelle Obama need us more than ever at this moment. Because right now, what they're going to try to do with this crap is bleed them. And with any official inquiry, any nuisance lawsuit, any nuisance whatever, even though he has immunity according to the Supreme Court, he may still have to go to court, which is going to require him to spend a lot of money in legal fees. And from a cohesive point of view, how much are his legal fees? A portion of that our responsibility to raise money and say, no, you're not touching this dude. I've always felt that way about the community as a whole when we step back and let some of these people who have sacrificed for us go through trials and tribulations on their own. From MLK to Diane Nash, these people put stuff on the line for us. And when they start going through trials and tribulations, some of these were brilliant people. They could have been doing anything else. They could have been making money any other way. That there's not some cohesiveness from our institutions. We have very few, when the biggest one still is the Black church, to push back and say, hey, we're not letting him go through this by itself. If we can raise $5 million for Kamala, we can raise $5 million for his legal fees. And
you do realize that he and his wife are both attorneys, right?
I do realize that.
And he's a constitutional law professor.
Yeah,
and all of that.
But he's not going to ever go in and represent himself in any case. No lawyer would.
Let's say this. There's not going to be any repercussions behind this because they have no legal standing and all, no legal nothing they can do to him. Simply because of I know. So he won't have to go to court on this. And Trump even said there's nothing I can do to him. He basically said that. I just saw it this morning. So there's nothing. Yeah. We don't need. He doesn't need our help in defending himself. Now, I can't say that for other people who worked for him in his administration. I can't say that. But him personally, they're not going to drag him in court on anything. And it's already, and even if it did go to, they did file a lawsuit, whatever, or try to take it to the Justice Department, try to bring charge of. Any judge with any common sense is going to knock that shit down in a heartbeat because it doesn't make sense.
Why we had the same argument every week, which is, I'm about to give it to you, which is West High. Listen to what I'm about to say. Why do you keep saying they not going to do that?
Because Trump said he's not going to do it. He literally said it.
Wait. So let me just say this. You, of all people, believe anything that comes out of that man's mouth. You, of all people.
What I'm saying is he knows, or they've told him, you have no legal recourse against him, mainly because of what the Supreme Court ruled. So everything that he did, actually he didn't even allege he did anything illegal. He just said he did something illegal. He never said what he actually did is illegal.
I agree with you.
So you say he did something illegal, but you don't say what he did. You have no proof of any illegality. It's never been investigated or anything like that. So what charges are they gonna bring to him? And then somebody, and I know somebody pulled him to the sides, like, you ain't got nothing. Let this shit go. It's all a distraction.
I agree.
We're sitting here wasting our time talking about a distraction that's never going to happen.
We keep arguing about the same thing. You keep saying stuff is not going to happen. And I keep giving you proof of stuff that happens, even though, and you're talking from a rational, wait. You coming from a rational, logical point of view, of which I agree with. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. The problem is they don't care about rationality. They don't care about legality. The whole Trump administration. So what they do is when you say they're not going to do it, and this is where you and I, let me finish. This is where you and I always bump heads. I tell you, they don't say anything. And they do nuisance lawsuits. They do lawsuits that are designed to make you go, even though they know they're going to get thrown out, even though they know they don't have proof, even though they know they're going to get thrown out. And I agree with you and Mariam both that it's a distraction. I understand that. That's the point, though. The distractions are being used as a weapon. And when you start having people who have to spend money, what are we looking at?
Somebody who just walked past me.
I'll leave you alone.
It's called self-preservation.
When you're dealing with people, they do what they want. They do nuisance lawsuits. They do nuisance. Pam Biondi doesn't have any legal standing to do any of the things that she's doing. None of them. You get more traction, eyeballs, and clicks by talking about Shannon Sharp's settlement with his former 19-year-old girl. You want me to talk about Shannon Sharp's settlement? I don't even know what the settlement is. Go for it, Kenneth.
Richer than she was before.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
You want me to talk about? Well, yeah. What you want me to talk?
I don't care about it.
So what? Oh, Marion is now our PR person. We talking about the wrong stuff. We need to talk about some salacious shit. Thank you, Stacey, but we can't talk about it no more because Marion wants to talk about big ass white girls and Shannon Sharp.
What did you say?
I said you want to talk about big ass white girls and Shannon Sharp.
Well, they say it ain't tricking if you got it.
Yeah.
So apparently Shannon Sharp got it, so he didn't get tricked.
Just because Trump's legal team tells Trump not to do something doesn't mean Trump will do it, because in the end, if Trump wants it done, they will do it to appease him, even if it doesn't make sense. All I'm saying,
and I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Let's say this: I'm not saying that they can't do it. I'm just saying they know it's a waste of time, and he only throws these things out so he can distract his base, and that's all he's trying to do. They know they don't have a legal standing in all of this, and they don't. And they know it'll be thrown out as soon as it's filed. They go to court one time, it's gonna be thrown out. They know that.
No, they don't.
They're not going. He's just throwing. Yes, they do. They do know that shit.
They do not. So wait.
You can't, because you've already. So the immunity thing that Trump begged the Supreme Court for.
I agree. So you're
saying a president cannot be tried for anything that they did while in office. And when whatever this stupid ass allegation he came up with, saying that Obama did something, he didn't even say exactly what he did. He just said he did something illegal. Obama did something illegal when he was president. That's covered under presidential immunity, which he asked the Supreme Court to give him.
Stacey, he doing the same thing, Stacey, over again. He keep doing the same thing, Stacey.
So,
which is we agree with him, Stacey. You and I agree with him. Everybody agrees with what he said. Everybody agrees with what he says in principle. We absolutely agree with him. If you're dealing with rational people, but you're not dealing with rational people.
Well, we're not dealing with rational people, but the issue is this. The issue is this. You go to court one time, it's thrown out. Period. It's thrown out. It doesn't make it. And I can defend Obama on this. And I ain't been to nobody's law school. I can defend him on that. You don't need to be an attorney to defend somebody on some bullshit like this. And we both know that. So
I agree.
on principle, on merit, on the fact that there's not even they haven't even, excuse me, they said what he did was illegal. That's the crazy thing about it. They never said what he did. So why are we wasting time talking about somebody saying he's going to file a lawsuit or he's going to have the Department of Justice go against him for what? They haven't even said what he did. That's a bridge. You talk about building a defense fund for somebody who's a multimillionaire and doesn't need our money for a defense fund for something that hasn't even happened.
See, and that's the thinking. That's the thinking that I can't wrap my head around it, because we say stuff like he's a millionaire and he could defend himself, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And they know he thinks. Wait, bro, let me finish, bro. Let me finish. Do you understand from a reasonable point of view that when somebody starts filing lawsuits against you, that it costs money to defend those lawsuits? And would you at least agree that people who put themselves out there for the community, could be doing something better? We all over the place, because we could talk about the Beau Biden's interview. I thought the Beau Biden's interview was fascinating personally, but I don't know if
I didn't hear it.
Like I said, I don't think a lot of things have seen the Beau Biden interview.
Why they even interviewing him?
I digress. I see that we don't really want to talk about, and that's cool. I see that we really don't want to talk about issues that will come down the pipeline that affect us. So let's talk about Beau Biden right quick. What he's talking about, Kenneth, is this. Beau Biden gave an interview Thursday, like a 3-hour interview to this television station. And one of the things, and he gave an interview to Jamie Harrison earlier this week, for you all that don't know it. And in his Jamie Harrison interview, if you go and pull up some of the clips, he was pretty polite to most people. Pretty polite. He was pretty polite. But in the second interview, he started taking shots. Like he was taking shots. And as my sister Crystal said, what difference does it make right now? What Beau Biden said was he came after Nancy Pelosi head on. And he started calling names about who was in the background during the right when Biden decided who was pushing Biden to step down, and then who was pushing for an open floor convention and why. And one of the things he said was that Nancy Pelosi did not want Kamala Harris to be the nominee. And that his father's stance was that his father has always been a really loyal person. And his father's stance was, I can't back anybody else because she's been one of the most loyal vice presidents in history. She's backed me on everything. How would it look for me to now just turn away from her and not endorse her? And in that interview, the guy asked him some pretty interesting questions about how he got hooked on drugs. Now, let me say this. I came and saw that interview after I had watched a Native Land podcast. That's how I saw it. And I watched Angela Rye say something about Hunter Biden that I was surprised to hear her say, which is Hunter Biden has a brilliant mind, but he has an addiction. She was like, he's a brilliant dude. That's what Angela Rye said. If you ever talk to him, you realize how smart he is. So he was talking about in this interview, Kenneth, how he got on drugs, the difference between crack and cocaine. And he started talking about the different ways crack is way more addictive than cocaine. So he's like, and so that's what Marion was referring to. We still talking about this Biden stuff. Yeah, I think we still talking. You sound like our other sister. I still think we're talking about this Biden stuff because I think what is Hunter Biden's interview, if 50% of it's true, says what a lot of us suspected, which is a lot of these old heads don't want to get out of the way in the Democratic Party. They like the power as much as they talk about Republicans. They want to be pulling the strings on the Democratic Party. They don't want to let any of these young people come forward. And we got 80-year-olds who don't want to get the fuck out of the way. They just don't. They want to call all the shots. I agree with your older siblings to have a postmortem on why they lost. What else would you have them do? If you don't, if here's my thing to you and my older sister, if you don't make a decision to start letting some of these young voices in, you don't know how to communicate with those people. I'm not talking about 19 to 30-year-olds. I'm talking about 30 to 50-year-olds. You don't know the technological language. You don't know the podcast language. You don't know any of those things. These older politicians know none of that, which is why AOC kills them in fundraising. So if you don't want to let some of these people start taking the lead because you don't want to give up the power, we're going to always have a postmortem. They don't even know how, they can't even get their internet messaging right. So it is a big deal. It is a big deal you talk about this Biden stuff because it's pertinent. It's pertinent that you have all these older people and Obama's people still run the Democratic Party, and they don't even know the language. Republicans kicked the Democrats' ass because they understood the language of podcasts.
No,
so
they kicked their ass because they spoke the language of idiots.
Yeah,
they spoke the language of idiots. Let's be real. That ain't got to do with podcasting. They spoke the language of idiots.
Wait. How do you get the message out? Through podcasts. Even if it's the language of idiots. I agree. You still got to get the language out. Right? It has to be.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. But and I agree with you on the point that these octogenarians need to get out of the way.
Oh my God, Marion. Y'all killing me with this, Marion. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with talking about why the 90 million. Well, God damn it, why didn't the 90 million vote? See, because don't nobody care if you lose. Nobody cares if you lose. Because at the end of the day,
but it's the thing is this. You're talking about the messaging, and we said this during the campaign that the messaging was flawed. That that they need to be out in more diverse circles. We said that. The issue with it is this: the campaign from the other side was so derisive, so demeaning to her and everybody else, that you had people, especially people who look like us, they believe that bullshit. And it has nothing to do with, and I'll say this, Democrats, their biggest problem is they're too reactive instead of proactive. They're afraid their messaging issue is they're afraid to offend those people in the middle of the road, those people in the middle. They're afraid to offend them, and they're afraid in the right. They want to build a big tent where everybody's included. When, when the people on the other side don't give a shit. They don't care. They're going to do what they want to do, the way they want to do it, and they don't care who gets hurt. And you still have people now being hurt by this administration and still support that fool. So even if you got the whole messaging thing, listening to younger people, going out using more different types of social media and all that to get people to participate in the voting, that wouldn't have, it would have helped. But just like with Hillary Clinton, and I'll go back to this the first time he ran. Hillary Clinton was fighting an uphill battle because they had been building a campaign, an anti-Hillary Clinton campaign since the 90s. It didn't just start when Trump ran. They were building that campaign against her since the 90s. They rehashed the same bullshit over and over and over and over and over again. Even that bullshit about Hillary Clinton saying we're going after telling black men, oh, she went after black men. She wanted to go after black men because they were super predators. Doing back when Bill Clinton was president. You know, and I'm telling people, you realize she wasn't a goddamn president then. She wasn't even an elected official. And it said, number two, you taking what she said out of context. But black people believe that bullshit. Because we want to believe bullshit. We don't ever want to believe facts. We want to believe bullshit. So Hillary Clinton's campaign was pretty much doomed before she even got in, before she even ran, because they had been running a 20-year campaign against her. Then you have Kamala Harris, short time running, had a lot of momentum, a lot of things, but then they start posting all this stuff. Oh, she locked up more black men than anybody in California history. And black people believe that bullshit because we don't know how the justice system works. There's no statistic, and they've been running that. They have been running that when she ran before the first time for president. They put that bullshit out there, and you got black men going, see, I told you. Don't know what the hell you're talking about. But we believe, black people have a tendency to believe bullshit against other black people, but don't want to believe bullshit against the people who really trying to fuck us over. They really don't. Donald Trump, they've been proof of stuff that Donald Trump going all the way back to the 70s, racist stuff that he's done back in the 70s. And you got black men still voting for him. Proof. Not no speculation, actual proof of the stuff that he's done. Proof of what he said about the young men that were arrested, the Central Park Five, now called the Exonerated Five. Proof. And then doubling down and saying, hey, they still should have been executed when they didn't even do anything. And you got black men that think he's all that. That punk, he's about as useful as a used piece of toilet paper. But you got black people who will support that bullshit. So it wasn't the Democrats' messaging that messed it up. It was the fact that the Republicans built a campaign against these candidates, against Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, years before they even ran for president. They've been building this shit, man. It is hard, extremely hard, to refute something that's not even true. I give you a perfectly good example of something, and this goes way back in my history. When I was 6 years old, right before I went to first grade, I was at the kindergarten I went to. I was there for the summer, and they didn't treat us like the kindergartens and pre-K and all that stuff. We kind of had a little bit more freedom. So one day we were outside, the older kids were outside, and we were playing tag. And a window broke. Just out of the blue, a window just broke in the building. So right before that happened, I had picked up a little tiny pebble about that big, and not even a rock, just a pebble, and threw it in the direction of the person who's it. Didn't hit him, nothing, it just threw it in that general direction. 30 feet away from where that window broke. Would you believe that they blamed me for breaking that window? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sitting there at 6 years old trying to argue with adults, telling them, how could I break a window from way back there when I was nowhere near the window and I threw a tiny pebble? That it wasn't even just it was actually more like a grain of dirt. That's what I threw. And it threw it nowhere near the window. How could I break that window? At 6 years old, this is my logic. And nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. That's what Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris had to go up against. You can't prove something that you didn't do if people believe you did it, if they want to believe it. And that's what people did.
With that being said, you got Audra McPhail, thanks for joining us, has a question that I was thinking, because I'm one of those people, and I want to address a couple of comments on here. Has a lesson been learned as it pertains to the next steps that could help the Democratic Party regain ground in the government's future picture? That's the question. And why are you laughing? Pew, most 80% of them now.
That's why.
Again.
Look what Mike said.
Huh?
Look what Mike wrote.
Mike said preach. Mike
Now
said
look
freak.
at look what I put on the screen. Now look at the next one, what I just put on the screen.
The video that is, I think you broke that. Oh, Mike, yeah, me and you agree, Mike. I know Kenneth broke that window. I was just letting him go. I know Kenneth broke that goddamn window.
See, that's the point I'm trying to make.
He had a track record for breaking windows when he was 6.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That wasn't his first window.
That's what. Right. And I locked up more black men than anybody in California history.
You sure did. That's what you were known for that in Brooklyn. You were known for that in Brooklyn. You were known for locking up black men. They said that about you over at Clark. I don't. But see, that's the point is the point is. Here's the point I'm trying to make. I don't disagree with any of what you're saying or what Arthur's saying or what Marion's saying. I don't. It's kind of like my brother says. No, that I didn't say my little brother. My brother says, "Okay, we know all that."
Well, we know you talk about your little brother because you'll never talk about your older brothers.
Miss Pritchett, look, we know 90 million didn't vote Marion. We know 90 million. Now, I already know Marion's stance on this. Marion's stance is, Mike, I wonder if you feel this way. Marion's stance is let them feel the pain. That's Marion's stance. Marion's like, hey, man, I don't have no arguments with this anymore. Let them feel the pain. The only thing that's going to change their mind is pain. It's like touching a hot stove. Let them burn their hand. They'll never do it again. And leave my classmate alone. Your classmate always starting it. He earned every piece of it. Again, with this miss stuff. I'm not supposed to call anybody miss. I'm sorry, y'all. Marion, that's Marion's stance. So Audra's stance is, okay, what do you do about now? Is that everybody's stance? Pain? Because I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to tell you. If I hear one more person in my community say that black people are so resilient that they can live with some of the pain, I'm not trying to go back to pre 1964 Civil Rights Acts. I'm not. I don't think I'm built for it. I think people think they built for it until they find out they're not built for it. And I've been saying that from day one. I don't want my grandchildren going back there. I don't want Kenneth's kids going back there. I think people are just talking a good game. I think when people find out that you're going to have restaurants who can openly discriminate against you, and you say, well, I don't want to go to restaurants either. Bullshit. It's a restaurant in Atlanta right now that still is full of black folks after they done put out Keisha Lance Bottoms. They done put out Dominique Wilkins. They done put out the starting nose tackle for the Falcons, owned by a Middle Easterner who basically said, we don't want your business, and black folks still in there.
Because those people are ignorant to let's say this. They're just ignorant to reality. And I agree with you. We ain't built like our ancestors, and we haven't suffered like they did. But one thing we do know is we're going to have to survive. We don't have a choice. So whether we state that we done been through this or not, we're at this point until things change politically in this country, we don't have a choice. We're going to have to adapt and overcome. It's not an either or thing. Well, I guess it is either you adapt and overcome, or you don't adapt and you sink.
Do you think
those are the only two choices we got, bruh? We don't have no more choices.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that anything that's like happening in Gaza can happen in the United States?
In terms of them bombing neighborhoods and all that stuff?
Yes.
Well, it's happened in the past. It happened in Tulsa in 1920? That happened then. But let's say this. Is it possible? Yes. Will it happen? No. Mainly because the reason why I say that. Well, let me say this. The reason why it won't happen, because there would be the backlash will be swift and severe. And I'm not saying from us. It's in this age of immediate media like one of the things that changed the tide of the made Americans' opinion of the Vietnam War change is because media was there, and they were sending, they were damn near doing live broadcasts from inside, from the war and all of this stuff. So you got to see it wasn't a thing. It wasn't as detached from our daily lives as it was in previous wars. Now you got people who can show you on their cell phone what's going on right now, and the backlash from something like that would be too severe. There's they heard that phrase, a bridge too far. Well, there are bridges too far, and I think that's one of them.
You know what?
That's way too far.
You know what you do for me every time you had the show. Well, I'm gonna tell you what you do.
Show you optimism.
Yeah, that was great. Say you show me hope. But I'm gonna say this: if you go on your frat brothers page, B.A. Brooks, all of y'all, he has a video of a top-ranking Israeli government official at a conference saying that their biggest enemy in the sense of keeping the narrative is the young Black African American population. That's what she's saying at this conference. We have to keep the narrative because we can't let them take over the narrative because they can change stuff. I will continue to say that, and Marion, you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, that there's never been a social movement in America, unfortunately, that was successful, that wasn't in some way, shape, form, or fashion led by our community. And that's just our lot in life. And that people have always understood, they've watched, always understood that the most powerful group minority in the world is the African American minority, because stuff changes when we decide to get involved. And I don't quite know how to, heard Tiffany Cross talking about this the other day, I don't know quite how to put that in actionable terms.
Well,
Kenneth,
you
have to be realistically optimistic too.
And I am.
That's my sister.
Yeah, the only Watkins I like. I haven't met Crystal yet, so I probably like Crystal too, but I haven't met her yet. But anyway, and I can't get with your older brother because my mama didn't like him. If my mama didn't like him, I can't like him. Anyway, in response to what Harry said, yeah, I am hopeful, and I'm realistically optimistic. But I'm realistically optimistic because as much as I'll say this, as much as and being a teacher, I chastise my students about not being aware of what's going on and how what's going on in the world affects them on their day-to-day basis. When somebody tells them this, when I tell them this, and then I show them, a bulb goes off. So in order for us to get this next generation, you and I, what would be our grandkids, get them involved and get them more socially aware, we've got to talk to them. We got to tell them the truth. We can't sugarcoat shit with them. We've literally got to tell them, because as long as we continue to sugarcoat everything and not tell them the truth, the harder it is to get them to get involved with stuff when they need to be.
We got a radical on here. We got somebody in my corner. Where somebody just checked in my corner.
But see, okay, see, that's another one. That's another frat. Okay, frat, you saying how long will you stab the knife in? My question is, they're just not stabbing the knife in us. It's happening in everybody. Now, and something I've been asking Leonard,
Get him,
what
Everett.
exactly, what are we supposed to do?
I'll tell you what.
What legal means do we have at this today? Let's say
I,
today.
this is what I was
Okay,
saying.
that's not now we know what we could do by the midterms of next year, by 2026. What can we do on Saturday? What's this? July 26th at 10:46 a.m. That's going to affect what happens in legally. Let's say legally. Let me clarify that. What legally can we do to change the course of this nation today, September 26th at 10:46 a.m.?
Your Fred just asked you another question. He ain't gonna answer that. He ain't gonna answer that ever. He's not gonna answer that ever. He don't never answer. He's not gonna answer that. You haven't been watching this show.
Okay, so he's asking a rhetorical question, and he wants me to answer a rhetorical question.
I
How
want
deep
you to
does the
answer
knife have to go in?
I want you to answer the
But
rhetorical
it's still a
question.
rhetorical question.
You answer something
And
else.
I'm asking you. My response. I just want to make sure I'm not talking too loud.
Oh.
But my response to you is, what exactly? My response to the question is, what exactly do we have to do? What can we do? What can we do
I got okay. I'll
right
answer
now?
that.
What can we do?
I'm gonna answer that. If you're asking for an immediate response, something that will happen and work tomorrow, there is no answer for that. We don't have an answer for that. If you're asking from the standpoint of what can we do long term, I agree with Michael when you say you can have more podcasts. Yes. We definitely want you to give your perspective. You should just ask to come on the show. Because I do want to talk about something salacious and silly before we leave here. We need to almost start over. When we talk a good game. He said he didn't ask that either. We talk a good game. You're gonna be doing a lot of texting because me and Ken, right now, Kenneth doesn't understand what you're saying. We talk a good game about changing stuff, and I agree that you're going to have to talk to young people, but that's such a generic statement. I hate when people do that.
Generic in what way?
Here's what I believe about young Black men when it comes to people our age. They don't believe shit we say.
They do.
I think they say
They
that
do.
probably in classrooms, but I look at their actions. They don't.
See, this is the thing.
Oh, wait, let me finish. I promise y'all. Give me 1 minute. It's 10:48. They don't believe that we'll take care of the community. They don't have a lot of respect for us on a wide level. And Marion will tell you that because Marion goes to his barbershop. He has these conversations all the time. They just believe that we're out for ourselves. You get it. You get what I call a microcosm because you're in class every day and you control the narrative. But they don't think we'll protect one another. Which is why I think that's what everyone's saying is, hey, how long do we let them put the knife in our back? I'll give you a prime example. How about this? I'm gonna give you an example. I want to hear this from Kenneth. You had a Jacksonville sheriff on Wednesday give a press conference about a video we were sitting there watching of his police officers punching a guy in the face, unprovoked. Unprovoked. How deep is relevant to how much destruction do we allow before we begin to move? Unprovoked. That Black sheriff literally was on there saying to those reporters as they're playing the video, they couldn't see his hands. Literally was saying that. And I'm literally saying to myself, which Kenneth gets mad at me for saying what I'm about to say, because he always tells me I'm gonna get us in trouble. His head should be on a swivel. If you're gonna gaslight us that bad, and you're gonna tell us again, even after the Rodney King thing, and you're gonna be a public official sitting there telling us that guy provoked the punch in his face, and you aren't gonna charge your officers, and you're gonna defend that, we got a way bigger problem. We got a problem. You don't fear us. And I say this all the time. I say this to you all the time. I say one thing about that Aryan nation, who I don't disagree with about nothing. One thing about that Aryan nation, you're going to watch what you say and you're going to watch what you do. You're going to watch what you say. You're going to watch what you do. Because they have put out that we will make you watch what you say and watch what you do. Even though I don't agree with none of that. I don't agree with nothing they say. But that for that guy to get on there, let me know then that people will get, I've known this for a while, but when it comes to our community, they have literally no fear of consequences. And that's why you and I talked about this a long time ago. We had this conversation back in June, which is why we said that's why the Montgomery boat incident crossed all demographics in the Black community. Because Black people just were like, oh, finally somebody hit back. Finally, somebody hit back and protected a guy that was just doing his job. That's why it resonated.
Okay, let me tell you what happened in that case.
My bad. Go for it.
Okay, now this is from law enforcement perspective. The cop. What happened initially? The cop ran his plate, and it came back that he had a suspended license. If that car is in his name, when he ran his plate, it came back that he had a suspended license. He used the lights in no rain as a pretext to pull him over. That was his justification for pulling him over. Like I said, if that car is in his name, the cop ran the plate long before, and I've done that myself. I've randomly run plates. I see somebody, I pull it up and they get a suspended license or a warrant or something like that. Then I start looking for reasons to pull them over, even though technically I don't have to, but that's what you do. So pull him over, and when he refused to give his driver's license or anything like that, give his driver's license, that's when things start escalating. Now, the problem I have with this, everything that cop did when he pulled him over was legit. It was legit. He escalated the situation when he didn't need to. All he had to do was tell him, are you so-and-so? Yeah. Well, actually, when he asked for his license, he had legit reason to pull him over because he had a suspended license, if that was a person. And he used headlights in the rain thing. Whether or not it was raining is another story. I don't know. But after he refused to give me the license, sit there. Okay, well, we're going to sit here till you give me this license. You can't go nowhere. You didn't have to break the window, all that stuff. Everything he did after that was wrong. Everything up until the point where he broke that window and punched him in the face he was correct. After he broke that window, that was it. He could have told, hey, are you so-and-so? Yeah. Or no. Well, you got a suspended license. I need you to step out the car. Tell him what you're pulling him over for. That's where communication comes in. Hey, man, listen, I ran the plate on your car. If it says the owner of this car has a suspended license, is that you? Now, if that wasn't the kid, that wasn't him. Okay, what's your name? And he could have asked him, what's your name? And when they asked for the supervisor, okay, supervisor comes up. What's your name, sir? That's all he had to do. Escalating the situation, breaking the window, and all that was not necessary.
Was it criminal? Was it criminal?
Yes, of course it's criminal. It's criminal. And the thing is, he said, we don't have any, they choose not to prosecute this. And one of the reasons why and this is a big problem, why a lot of cops aren't prosecuted for cases like this, because it's very, very hard to get a conviction against a cop, just like with a politician. It's very hard. Now, I will say this. That sheriff is wrong in the fact that he's defending their actions. There's no defense for that. None whatsoever. There's no defense for that. And he has been suspended. The officer was suspended. More than likely, he's going to lose his job. Maybe even lose his certification. because you have on tape an unprovoked attack, and they're using, well, he had a knife under the seat, but his hands were up when you punched him. So how is he reaching for reaching for a knife when his hands are up? Literally, his hands are like this. He said, "Show me your hands." He did like this. So when is he reaching for the knife? All you had to do was sit there and wait. Hey, tell the supervisor, listen, he refused to give me his driver's license, so and so. That's it. That's really all. That's really it. Yeah, cops can and yes, they can randomly run license plates. Supreme Court said that years ago. You can run somebody's license plate because guess what? A license plate does not belong to you. It belongs to the state that that it was issued in. So you can run license plates just randomly. They even have what's called tag readers. A tag reader is do you ever see a cop sitting in a median on a car and these little black things sitting on the side of the car, on the trunk? Those are tag readers. They read every plate that goes by. Right. And it all goes to the computer, goes to the computer, and computer checks and sees what's in there. See if there's somebody with a suspended license or a warrant or anything like that. It does that. It does that. So it is the randomly running license plates is not illegal. It is legal, and the Supreme Court said that years ago.
I don't disagree with that, Kenneth. What I think. No,
Marion. Hold on. Let me say with Marion. If that car is registered in his name, if it's registered to the driver of that car, if it's registered in his name, and they run that plate, and it will tell you license suspended. It will tell you that because if the owner of a car, their driver's license status is in the system. So when it comes up, when you run the plate, the information comes up, and if that driver of that car has a warrant, a suspended license, or anything like that, the driver's status will come up.
I agree. I think we're missing the point, though. And I think this is the point that I think Michael is making. I'm making. I think everyone's making it. And I always appreciate your viewpoint from a former law officer. Here's the thing. Those officers that did everything wrong up until right after everything you said was being done right. The minute they broke that window and punched him in his face, not only did they break that window and punch him in his face, they snatched him out of his car and they punched him. Well, the reason they did that is because they don't think there's any physical consequence to it. And if they had done that to another community or another group, they're either going to be ruined financially by that group. There's no consequence to people's behavior when they do stuff to us. And that's why I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again. The Montgomery boat thing was so visceral for our community because those guys jumped on a guy who wasn't doing anything but doing his job. And there was a fuck around and found out moment to say, you can do it if you want. And we're not looking for this smoke. But you bring this smoke over here, it's going to be all smoke. And for that sheriff to not understand that, to get up there and back those people, what's the word I'm looking for? You only make the distrust in the community for people like me and you. Me and you might not out there looking for it or ever not looking for no smoke. But when we get pulled over, we have this visceral reaction because we know that you think you can do whatever you want to us. And the only thing we have going off that is our skin color. And the sheriff only solidified that when he literally got in that press conference and told that black reporter, what do you mean his hands were up? I didn't see his hands. And we're all looking at the guy do this. You get away with what black men let you get away with. And I'm not saying going out and start a civil war. I'm not saying going out. I'm saying, hey, at some point you're going to say, hey, man, you done pushed this fence a little too far. Now we got to push you back.
Well, let's say this.
Nobody believes that about us. Nobody.
Well, I have said,
Go ahead.
One thing I told people over the years, I did this. I used to do the church I attended when I was in the Atlanta area, and I've done it in classrooms and all this. I said one thing: you cannot win an argument with a cop on the street. You won't win. Period. You won't win. If they ask you for your driver's license, give them the driver's license. Just give it to them. If you have not done anything wrong, you got nothing going. There you go, sir. Because in the end, we need to teach our young men and young women. Go ahead, do what you're supposed to do. If you get caught up, you get caught up. Because it's better to get caught up and get handcuffed and all of that than be taken away in a body bag or getting beat up. And that's real talk. I'm not saying they I'm not saying that you should. Let's say this. I'm not saying that you should not fight for your life. What I'm saying is this: it's a whole lot easier to to fight a battle in court than it is to fight it from the grave. Now, this young man didn't do anything, other than the only thing I have against what he did is show him the driver's license. Just give him the driver's license. You caught, bro. You caught. If your license is suspended, which they said it was, give him the license. Go ahead, let him take you to jail, bond out of jail, and pay the fine and whatever. Just go at it like that. Just go at it. If you and my thing is, if you haven't done anything wrong, do what you're supposed to do and fight it out in court. Because he's gonna get paid in all of this because he did use excessive force. The officers will probably get fired, may lose their certification. If they don't lose their certification, they'll probably get another job in another department and all that. And the people in this community will probably embrace him and call him a hero and all that stuff. That's neither here nor there. But that situation could have ended a whole lot worse. Give him the driver's license and let happens. Because I've told people this many times. Just because an officer pulls you over does not mean they have to give you a ticket or arrest you. Officer could have. And I can't read it. I'm sorry because I'm looking at something. I'm trying to. There it is. My goal is for you to make it home. Now, if you got to be delayed making it home because you got to spend a couple hours in jail, so be it. Make it home. This is the thing about your long term, about your survival. We can deal with the ticket later on. We can deal with that later on. Now, and I am happy that he did pull out his phone and start recording and all that stuff. I'm happy he did that because we would never know his side of the story if it hadn't happened. But just give him the license and keep it moving.
Here's what I say. Here's what I say. I want to know if you all agree with this. As a father, I don't know what else you want us to teach our young black boys and young black people when they pulled over. We
Well, see, not everybody teaches them that, Leonard. Come on, man. Because if you,
Kenneth, I don't agree with you on this one. Let me tell you why. In this,
no, they don't.
Wait. Well, hear me out. And I'm asking you. Somebody taught him to say, thanks, Mr. Williams. Somebody taught him to say, can I get a supervisor?
Right.
Somebody taught him to say that. Most people don't know that off top. Somebody taught him to say, hey, man, look, you can always ask for a supervisor. And here's my question to you. When I ask for a supervisor, are you in the obligation to get me one?
Well, let's say this. I don't necessarily have to get you one, but when I was on the street, I called for the supervisor. That way it takes it off of you and put it on the supervisor. Because when the supervisor gets there, they're in charge of the scene. And if the supervisor tells me, go and get him out the car, Okay, well, supervisor told her. So if anything happens after that, it's on the supervisor. It ain't on me. So asking for a supervisor, um, and you can still. And I didn't know it was administratively thing because of expired no insurance or anything like that. But the thing is, go ahead and give them the license.
Ken, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with you on that. I
But,
think
and
more our,
and
I think
also
more our
too, the other
benefit.
part of it too. The other part of it too is this. Um, Now he did something I always taught him. I said, stay calm, don't do anything, don't Kurt, let them act a fool. You don't act a fool. You got your phone out, you recording, all that stuff. He did all of that right. So his reaction to all of it was correct. But he should have just gone ahead and given him the license because it would have one saved the window being broken, two him getting punched, lose chipping his tooth and all of that. Because maybe he did not know his license was suspended. And if an officer tells you I pulled you over for something and it's bullshit, don't argue on the street. Just go ahead and fight, argue it in the court because you're not going to win on the street. He did not win.
I agree with
He
you on
made
this.
in the long term. He went, and that's and my as I told my goal, and I teach my students this. Um, my goal is for you to make it home, man. Live to fight another day because you don't know. There have been times when I have just gotten pull somebody over, and I just left a scene of something that got me so upset, and I do mean upset. It's like a chaotic scene where I've been cussed out and this and that and called everything and all this, and I ain't doing nothing to the people. And now I'm pulling you over for whatever reason. In my cases, it was always legit reason. And here it is, you cussing me out. Now you done already made somebody who had already upset, but remain professional. Now you gonna pile on us stuff and all that. I'm human. I could have been had. I mean, I tell you this. I was talking to somebody about this um, when I worked in the DA's office in the Bronx. I came into work one day and I was just sitting at the front desk dealing with something. And this officer who had said something about another employee came up and confronted me about what he said. Because I told him, I was like, yo, don't trust that dude. Don't trust him, man. I said, he's sitting back here talking about you, calling you all kind of names. Don't trust him. So the guy I told that to when he told the other guy. The other guy who originally started all this stuff came and confronted me. And I went off on him. I went off and I went ham to the point where my chief came out of his office to find out what was going on. Now, what nobody knew was, except for my partner, my grandmother had just died the night before. And he heard and felt the full brunt of my frustration, anger, hurt, and pain in those 2 minutes I cussed him out.
I want
So
to.
you got to realize that when you're pulled over by an officer, it's better for you to do what you're supposed to do than to sit there and argue with them because you will never win.
Let me say
And
this. Let me say this, and I know we got to get out of here. I'm gonna say two things from personal experience. Number one, I agree with you to a degree. I agree with you to a degree. I agree that you got to have some situational self awareness to understand what's going on. I've had an administrative suspension and didn't have a clue that my license was suspended. Didn't have a clue and got pulled over right down going towards Peachtree City. It's a little bitty town. As you head into Peachtree City, I got pulled over by a boss hog type cop. And he pulled me over and he asked for my license. I gave him my license. And as he's checking my license, I had from that little bitty city, this guy was a sheriff, a city police officer pulled up behind him. And so he's coming back to me. He's like, hey, Mr. Watkins, Your license is suspended. I'm like, no, my license can't be suspended. He's like, yeah, it is suspended, but you don't seem to act, blah, 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 blah. The city cop was like, hey man, what we gonna do about it? Looking for a confrontation. To the sheriff was like, hey man, calm down. I'm talking to him. He's like, no, you don't know what else. He might have some in the car. Should we search the car? He was like, no, I'm not doing all that. I'm not searching his car. I was in my truck, my work truck. And he said, I'm not doing all of that. You need to just calm down. Here's what I say to what you say as a citizen I should know and I should do. I disagree with you on this. It's not my job to worry about what you went through the next day. It is human. But you are the person that has the power of life and death for me in that moment. You have a greater responsibility to control your emotions.
Because hold on. See, this is the thing. Hold on. You misunderstood what I said.
I'm gonna let you finish. I promise I'm gonna let you finish. As my brother, so used to saying little brother, has told me on any given occasion, a beat cop is the most powerful person in the system. At any given occasion, a beat cop is the most powerful person in the justice decision because he has the power of life and death in his hands on any given encounter. He can be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And when you're asking a regular citizen who doesn't have the supposedly the training, who doesn't have situational awareness as if you all are supposed to train to do, you can't place the responsibility on him. And here's my thing, what I would say to you about the Jacksonville thing. Now I'm gonna stop and let you talk. It's hard for me to believe that those two cops that did what they did, which is break a window and punch a guy in the face after the guy said, because to me, Kenneth, I'm curious how you feel about this. Once he says, can I see a supervisor? I'm going to treat him a little differently than I would treat the average Joe Blow. I'm just going to treat him differently because he asking for a supervisor. I don't think they gave a damn. I don't think they.
I agree with that. I agree. Yeah, so, listen, and I said everything he did up until he broke that window was right.
By the book. Everything. I give you that.
It's by the book.
I give you that.
And yeah, it was by the book. So everything after that wasn't. What I'm saying is this, in reference to the not that particular officer. I'm talking about officers in general. You never know when they pull you over what that, and I don't give a damn. This whole thing about they need to be professional and all that. Of course they do. Of course they do. That's a given. But they are also human. Everybody in that situation is human. The only thing you can control as the person that's being pulled over is your actions. That's the only thing you can control. You can't control what the officer says or does. You can control what you say or do. You control how you react to what they say or do. So whether or not they're professional or not, it doesn't make a difference. You have to remain calm because they do have the power of life or death over you. They do. So it doesn't make sense to provoke somebody who has that kind of power. It doesn't make sense. You will not win. And if you win at that very moment, in the end, you will lose. And as somebody who's pulled over hundreds of people in my time in law enforcement, hundreds of people. It's a scary situation when you walk up to, well, I shouldn't say a scary situation. You walk up to a car and the first thing somebody says to you is, what the fuck you pulled me over for? And I'm sitting like, yo, chill with all that. Because I could have pulled you over for something that I saw something's wrong with your car that you didn't know what was wrong. I could have pulled you over because of something to help you. Because I told people this when I was a cop in Stone Mountain. I used to tell people, I used to do this every time, especially I worked the evening watch because that was the most busiest time. Um, I pull over people, and like the first 4 or 5 people I pulled over, I wouldn't even give them a ticket. I give warnings. But inevitably, somebody would say, "What the fuck you pulled me over for?"
Oh, I'm writing the ticket.
You getting the ticket then?
Oh yeah, I'm writing the ticket. I
Yeah.
write a ticket.
You
I ain't
right?
gotta beat you up. I ain't gotta beat you up. I'm,
You gonna get this ticket?
I'm probably gonna write you a ticket. I ain't gonna beat you up. I ain't gonna punch you in the face. But I'm
And
probably gonna write a ticket.
and I'm looking like, okay, it's like you won't be the first one. Okay, you're the first one today.
Where
But
Harris,
I was always
the Stones mantra don't work, huh?
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. Now from that point on, everybody getting the ticket because you want to be an asshole. And it's so funny because it's like it happened every single day. And I didn't consciously do it. I didn't consciously not.
You lying.
Yeah.
You lying.
No, seriously. I didn't consciously set out and say, okay, the first person who cussed me out, I'll give him a ticket. But inevitably, every day it happened.
But I tell you what, that second person that cursed you out after that first person was getting a ticket.
Oh, yeah. Everybody get, from that point, everybody get a ticket to that day.
You get a ticket. You get a ticket. You get a ticket.
But, you know.
Okay, man, take us out. Finish
Well,
up and take us out.
hold on. This is one thing I wanted to talk about today. You got on this.
Go ahead,
See, you started off one place and ended up in the other. And I never got a chance to talk to
y'all
you.
don't want to talk about no mental health. Y'all didn't want to.
That was Marion.
Marion want to talk about
Yeah.
Stay Shay
See,
and
you let Marion talk you in the door, going in a totally different direction.
I sure did.
This about I saw last night, or somebody mentioned to me last night, and I saw it. I regretted over it. I don't know if you heard the story. There's some ICE agents that were taking some detainees to South Sudan.
Yeah.
And South Sudan said, "No, you can't bring them here." So, and none of them were from South Sudan. That's the whole thing. None of them from South Sudan. So they take them to a third-party country. South Sudan said, "No, we ain't doing that no more. Y'all did it one time. That's a one-time deal. We done. We ain't doing that no more." So they ended up, and when you go to other countries, there's certain shots you got to take. You know, whatever those shots are, I'm not exactly sure all of them, but you got to take certain shots. And military does it. I assume they gave these prisoners these shots too. So they gave it to them, and the prisoners, when they rejected them, and they were all in containers, shipping containers. They had them housed in shipping containers. And it was 8 detainees and 12 ICE personnel. So they ended up going to another country, Djibouti, to a naval base in Djibouti. Now these ICE agents are stuck in Djibouti, and they can't leave this container because they did not get the shots that they were supposed to before they went overseas, because they were going, hey, go to the airport, drop these people off, put them in South Sudan, and hightail it back to the United States. So they never got the necessary shots that they were supposed to. So now they're in Djibouti. They never got the shots that they were supposed to get. And the authorities there are saying, you can't leave that container because you haven't gotten the proper shots. And you may be coming with something that's going to infect our people. So they're stuck in these shipping containers with these detainees until they can get all this proper, whatever they have to do, until they can get all the paperwork and everything done. And it's been this way for a few days. And somebody I was with a group of people last night, they were talking about, they said, the ancestors are speaking up. The ancestors like, oh, we got you on this one. And those ICE agents are catching hell for policy, for instituting a policy that's unjust, illegal, and just plain out immoral. And they're catching hell for that. And I applaud the authorities in Djibouti for not letting them get off the plane or wherever not letting them leave their container. I finally applaud the people in South Sudan. The government of South Sudan is like, nah, you ain't bringing them over here. That was a one and done deal. We ain't doing this no more. Now it ain't worth it. I applaud them, and I'm so happy that those people, that those ICE agents, are now getting a taste of what they're putting everybody else through, putting these detainees through. And they said these people were actual criminals. Now, whether or not that's true is another story. I don't know. They didn't name any of them or what their crimes were, but they said they're actual criminals. I just don't understand why they won't send them back to the country that they're from, the country of origin. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Put them on the plane, take them to the airport, take them outside the TSA area, and leave them right there on the corner. Get back on the plane and come home. Why you gotta take them to a third party country? That makes no sense.
Because cruelty is the point.
Right, I understand. And now those agents are paying for that.
Cruelty is the point. All right,
They're
take us
paying
out.
for that.
Take us out.
All right, y'all. It's been a very interesting discussion, and I don't know why Leonard lets Marion get us off script. Not this is a scripted show, but get us off topic all the time. He does this to us damn near every week, and he just keeps falling for it.
Because Marion want our numbers to go up, so he want me to talk about all the salacious shit that me and you just have a hard time talking about. And so that's Marion. Marion got a agenda here, and he thinks more people should see it. So he's like, but y'all need to have a better hook. So maybe we'll start getting big booties and putting them up here before we come on the air. Maybe we need to do the Fox thing. Why don't you put on a blonde wig or something? We'll do the Fox thing. That's what Marion wants. So
hold on. Marion is one of those people you tell me need to step out the way and let the younger people come in. Marion is the one. See, that's funny. Marion is the one that's pushing us to go and get a better, talk about more salacious topics. But he's old school.
Wait, you saw the sister saying, I don't care about that. All the sisters, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. The sisters we had on here, like, I don't want to care about that. Let her get all the money. So, but anyway, y'all, thanks for joining us. Please come back to see us next week. We'll try to stay on point. We'll start the show off with some salaciousness. We'll say something so controversial where it make us go viral. I haven't figured out what we're going to say yet. I never tell Kenneth, because whenever I tell him before the show, he goes, don't you do that. And so we'll catch y'all next week. Peace out. I gotta go.
You see what your sister said?
Twerk. What'd she say? Y'all need to start twerking. Women don't like to see men twerk.
I don't know where she get that from.
Mary said nothing wrong with the big ones.
Miss Stacy said that's right. I do not. We don't want to see that.
What Stacy, send us some stuff of what you want to see us do that we're gonna go viral. That's what Mary wants us to do.
Hold up. No. Don't ask Stacy for that. Don't ask Stacy that.
Hey, bring me all that smoke, Stacy. Bring me all that smoke, Stacy. And bring me all that smoke. And Ari, I don't know Ari. You know Ari? That's one of your friends too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That could be a male or a female name. So is it a male or a female? Because I don't know.
He's a male. He's my frat brother.
Now, boy, we got whoa. We're gonna start having a maximum of frat on this show. We're gonna cater it at 5. We're gonna have to cater it at 5 because good gracious. Well, I take Everin every day because he on my side. But the rest of y'all, hey, we have to start.
You're just scared of having intelligent brothers.
We have to put some rules. We have to put some rules in place.
Stop being scared of alphas. We're good people.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you.
All right. Deuces.
Peace.